Hi there, beautiful people. Welcome back to Stories Down Under. My name is Stella, and today we're going to be looking at whether coming to Australia is still worth it in the year 2024. So, you all know about all the different migration changes that are happening in Australia, and it's going to be a lot more harder to migrate to Australia. So, in the year 2023, we saw around 560,000 people migrate to Australia. And in this financial year, 2004-2025, the Australian government is going to reduce this number by a half. So they're going to reduce the migrants to only 280,000. So in that case, a lot of you might wonder, is it still worth the investment? The chances, of course, if they're going to be taking way less migrants are going to be quite slim. However, today I'm here to encourage you and tell you that Australia, for me, looking at other countries in the world, still remains a top choice for migrants who are thinking to migrate to Australia. And one of the things that I'd like you to consider is the strong job opportunities in Australia, especially today. So Australia has one of the lowest number of unemployment. We have an employment rate of less than 4%. Can you believe? So if it's less than 4% of the population, this is not really unemployment. These are probably people who don't want to work for some reason or cannot work based on their condition. So there are so many jobs in Australia at the moment. There's still a high shortage of labor. So not only that, you are assured at least of getting a job if you have the qualification and if you're aggressive and if you're looking for a job. So that's one thing. The other thing is that we have the highest minimum wage. Last year, Australia had a minimum wage of $23, and in this financial year, that is increasing, and the minimum wage in Australia is now $24.10. Can you believe? Even on a minimum wage, you can still live quite a decent life here in Australia. So even for international students, because I know there are people who are planning to come here in the avenue of as being an international student, if the minimum wage is $24.10 and you're allowed to work at least 48 hours a fortnight, you can still earn something decent to cater for your living expenses. And for those who work in corporate or looking to work in corporate, like for myself, we only have a 38-hour work week, which allows for such a great life, work-life balance. So Australia is great in that sense. We enjoy 20 days of annual leave, 10 days of sick leave, and then some companies will have additional leave. Like my company, we have additional well-being days, so which are 2 days in a year. So that goes to show that it's such a great place to work. There are so many opportunities. The other thing that I still think Australia remains top in the world is that it has the best healthcare system. So very few countries in the world will enjoy free medical care. So in Australia, we have something called Medicare, and with Medicare, this is something we pay towards the medical assistance that we get from the government, and this is through taxation from your income. And with Medicare, basically you can enjoy free doctor's visitation, hospital stays, free prescribed medication. So this is just so good, because a lot of countries right now are experiencing such an increase in the cost of seeking medical health or medical assistance. So that makes Australia really good. However, I have to say that Medicare is not available to everybody. If you're not a permanent resident or an Australian citizen, you don't enjoy Medicare. But however, with all the other temporary visas, they ensure that everybody is supposed to have healthcare. So even before you get granted your student visa or visitor's visa or any other temporary visa, you have to have sufficient healthcare. So when you're in Australia, you are guaranteed to have good medical healthcare. The other thing that I think Australia still makes it really top there, one of the choice countries, is the security. I personally have lived in this country for close to 10 years. I have not had any incident that of course has thrown me off, sometimes, or that has made me feel unsafe. Of course, just like any other nation, there's gonna be incidences, but the police manage this very, very well. There's such a good police presence in all suburbs. Like literally, if I get out now and maybe just walk around for 30 minutes, I'm going to see a police officer. So that presence of police officers everywhere, of course, it makes you feel safe. The other thing is, of course, the gun laws in Australia are so, so strict. Some countries, I'm not gonna mention names, whereby anybody can own a gun, but that is not the case in Australia. And with this regulation with guns, it makes you feel so safe because your neighbor doesn't have a gun for sure. So that makes Australia really, really safe. And then the other thing that I really, really love about Australia is, of course, being a person of a different culture, of a different race. There's such a multicultural environment in Australia. I read somewhere that all the countries in the world are represented in Australia. So can you imagine that? So we enjoy such a good vibrancy of culture, of food. You can literally find your food in Australia and your people in Australia, and that just gives you a sense of feeling home. And not to mention, Australia also just have such a good culture. People are very polite, people are just kind. Of course, there's some cases here and there that that are not so pleasant, but generally you're not going to find someone just call you names or be racist towards you. People are just very, very polite. And then I think because of that interaction with people from different cultures, that makes it really, really, really good. There's even, for example, I'm from Kenya, and there's even Kenyan food. For those who'd like, you can check out Choma Zone, and you can try some African cuisine, yeah? I'm going to leave the name on the description for those who are interested. And then lastly, and this is my favorite because this has been my journey, there's an opportunity to become a permanent resident and an Australian citizen. So a lot of countries, you're going to invest heavily in those countries by you're being a student, because you're going to pay international fees, and then after that you don't get an opportunity to work, to gain the relevant work experience, and then you're sent back home. But what good does that give you? Because if you're not able to demonstrate work experience, right, when you go back home, they're just going to call you overqualified. But in Australia, once you finish studying, you can get temporary graduate visa, and this allows you to work up to 18 months, and in some cases, if you've done your master's by research or PhD, you can stay up to 2 years, which is really, really good. So this gives you, when you get your graduate visa, then you can apply for your permanent residence, and after your permanent residence, then this is a guaranteed pathway to being a citizen, which I really, really love about Australia. Because personally, when I migrated here, I thought I just wanted to come and study and go back home. However, I fell in love with Australia. The place is secure, the place is clean, there are so many jobs. Why would you not? So please stay tuned. I'm going to talk about now why some of the things, of course, because with every great place, there's also some things, there's some, not so great things, which I'm going to be covering in my next video. So with that said, please do not forget to show me some love by leaving a comment, a like. Please remember to also subscribe to the channel, and I hope to see you guys on my next one. Thank you so much for watching. Signing off, Stella. Bye-bye.